Hey guys, Jake's Garage here. I'm going to give a little bit of update on the Suburban project. I have a bunch of videos that should be being uploaded as we speak. Kind of got ahead of myself like I tend to do. I don't get a whole lot of time, as some of you know, to work on my projects. So sometimes I got to sneak in when I can. Plus it's December, so it's been getting cold. Today's been pretty good. It's been like 60. But this week coming up, it's going to be in the 30s, so I'm not going to get much done. So I have done a lot of little things, and I didn't give video, and I do apologize. However, I think just kind of explaining what I did and showing you how I did my project is probably more interesting to you guys than watching me do some of the more in-depth how-to. I know you guys don't like when I talk, so it is what it is. If there's something specific anyone ever wants me to get into, I can try to. If you leave a comment down below, you know, hey, how did you do this? Can you explain more? Maybe I'll make like a quick, maybe that'll be one of my quick tip videos on how to do it. Aside from working on the Suburban, I've had some other stuff going on, some little garage improvements, whatnot. I've also had some changes of plans with this. So I've been waiting on parts. So I'm going to go over all that in a second. Just wanted to let you all know that that's why you're going to see some stuff that's done that you won't actually see in-process video on. So here we go. All right, first of all, some improvements in the Jake's Garage. I now have a sub panel in my garage fed off of my new, because I had a new panel put in the basement for the house service, 200 amp service. So this is super nice. Now I'll have a lot of power out here. Right now I just have 2 breakers in there loaded up, feeding this guy. Each one of these receptacles is on its own breaker, and as you can see, I have the welder plugged into that because I finally have a place to plug my welder in. I do a lot of welding kind of over here. I mean, usually there's not this much crap around, but off of that vise, I do a lot of welding, and in this area, I generally do some stuff. So for now, it's just plugged in. But that'll be great. What I plan on doing is running some conduit down along the walls, put some outlets over there for the grinder and the compressor, and also at the corner of the garage for things like Christmas lights and running things outside. And then I might do one on this side too, because I have this power strip over here, and it does fine. I don't really have anything on here that blows any relays, any breakers, but I might still add a leg to take some of the load off of this, maybe for the drill press. And also, you know, I have this extension cord that is plugged into that power strip, and I do run heavier tools on that, so I might just run an outlet over here just for this cord, dedicated for the cord. So anyway, that's what's going on in the garage. On the actual Suburban, so there's a lot done to this thing now, and I'm going to touch on some of the points, but some of the points I'm not going to say anything about right this minute. One of the things I know I left off on is under here. I got the, I don't remember if I had video of the drive shaft, putting the drive shaft in, but the drive shaft is in the transfer case, is where it's going to be. I actually put some spacers in on the mount, which you probably won't be able to see without me really getting in there with a light, but there's some spacers there, spacing the rear of the transmission up a tiny bit. The shift linkage for the transfer case is adjusted and installed, so that's all good to go. Speaking of shift linkages, I do have the linkage set up for the transmission shifter. You can see it right, well, you might be able to see it. Let me get you down in there. Right here, that's the low car shift linkage set up for the 6L90E. 6L80, 6L90. So that's really not a big deal to set up. Scotty, everybody, if you're a square body guy doing an LS swap, you know who Scotty is on the Facebook groups. He has a write-up on where to put some initial bends in that rod that you get from low car. And I had to tweak the bottom a little bit for my own setup. It's very close to the transcooler lines, and it's very close to the O2 sensor, but it doesn't hit a thing. And when you're in drive, you get more clearance than when you're in park. So that was important to me. But you can see, it's a little bit of a mess in here. More on that in a minute. But you can see that I can do. Oh, key. Reverse, neutral, overdrive, drive, 2, 1. Back to park. So I have all my gears. While we're in here, let me get a light for this part. While we're in here, we can talk about some of the things that I did in here other than tear the whole thing apart. So I decided I was going to use the van donor pedal. Oh, come on. You usually stick. What are you doing? I decided I was going to use the van pedal for various reasons. Now, it offered some challenges. You can get an adapter bracket to adapt the Camaro, the newer Camaro electric pedal to the firewall of this. What I did was I kind of copied that design and I made my own pedestal mount. So it bolts to the firewall with the 3 factory bolts, and then it has a plate that comes up along the back. And you can see that there's a nut here. There's 2 more up here, and I welded bolts from the back side so they're like studs, and it's very, very, very sturdy. It's no problem. It feels really good on your foot to push down. Floor it, nothing's gonna happen. Assuming this pedal works, I'm probably gonna leave it. One thing I might do is I might cut the pedal off up here and make a metal bracket, and I might weld the original pedal arm to it. Just because I like this pedal. It looks cool and it fits the truck better than this plastic one. But we'll see. We'll see what we're doing. Also in here, I've taken a lot of wires out. This bundle of wires here is, let's see what we got here. We have the speed wire, which I'm not sure if I'm going with GPS speedometer or what I'm doing, but I have the speed wire. I have the 4-wheel drive low wire. I have the brake input wire. I've got the maintenance indicator light wire. This is for tap up, tap down if I ever decide to do it. I have the CAN bus lines, and I have the TAC output. And that's really it. That's all I had to bring in here. So no big deal there. I'll be hooking the OBD2 connector, actually. Fits on the same bracket that the original OBD1 connector was, so it just kind of, on the square bodies, it just kind of bolts the sheet metal dash and it winds up hanging there, so it worked out pretty good. I'll just install that like normal. Let's see, where do we go next? Let's go, okay, I placed an LMC order, and I also got the radiator from Advanced Auto. Part number was 433730, so it's the same one that you get, the CU730 big block radiator from Spectre, but it's Advanced Auto. On LMC, I ordered 4 new rubber cushions. I ordered the big block upper mount. I also ordered a driver's side battery tray, which I put in. That's super easy to put in. I already had nutserts. I had nutserts I could put in, so these are from my relay panel that I had to relocate for the headlights, but I put a couple more in to attach the tray, and then there's a couple bolts that you have to drill. I still have the passenger tray. Probably going to use that to mount this factory airbox, just because I think that looks super slick, the factory truck airbox, but we'll see. One of the problems I have is the MAF sensor that came with the van has very small couplings. They're like 3 to 3.5 or 3.25 inch, and off the throttle body's 4 inch, and that's 4 inch. So don't love it. I'm going to get another MAF, but I need to get this running first. It's got to run first. All of the fuel lines are ran. That's all good to go. I've got the fitting up there. You can see it down there, and the line kind of loops up and then goes, there's a piece of sheet metal like shield up on the firewall, so it goes down that way. I think it'll be out of the way of my exhaust. If not, obviously I'll have to get creative and redo some of that. What else over here? So we went over this. Oh, the radiator hoses are off of a newer truck. Got those from Amazon. They're AC Delco hoses, upper and lower. I think the lower's over there. I don't have that in yet. So that's all fits like normal. For my steam line hookup, here, you can check this out. This is a 3/4 barb, 3/4 NPT 90-degree elbow fitting into a 3/4 NPT to 1/4 inch barb fitting. And the whole idea of this is to go from the 3/4 inch heater output or heater input on the stock heater system to the steam line. Now, I have a couple different options. I might just take this elbow, and right now I have it on this piece of 90-degree tube, but I might actually cut this here and have it go straight out. It all depends on how my hoses land, but either way, 2 clamps, and this should be just as good as you know, how it's set up from the factory. So I'm not too concerned about that. Heater hoses, piece of cake. They just go where they're supposed to go. They're going to be like the last thing I hook up. Okay. Oh, so I have what I ended up using was the factory 6L90. You won't be able to see it, but the hard transcooler lines that go from the side of the transmission. They come out, they go under the trans, and they make a turn up towards the front. I wanted to keep those hard lines because they kept real tight to the transmission, and I didn't want to go over the transmission. It just didn't seem like that was worth it. Also, where it comes out of the tran and makes it turn, it's very tight, and because of the shift linkage and the O2 sensor and everything's over there, this actually helps, because I think if I had gone to the block that adapts it to AN fittings and then had AN line come off, I would have been way out by the time I used all that. So right now they are, let me get that light. Sorry if I sound like I'm out of breath. I haven't had to do this much talking in a while. Those fittings are right down here. I think you can see them. They're blue. They're right there. What I did was I used, I bought a 37-degree flaring tool from Summit, and I bought the ferrules and the nuts for a 3/8 line. I used a -6AN union and then made my -6AN lines out. They go under the motor mount pad, under the frame rail right here, come up, and they have, there's a little bit of room down here. You can see them, that's these lines here. They loop up and they go through the original air intake hole that the square bodies have. There's a plastic cover. And you can see that big hole there. I was originally gonna have them come out through that, but what I ended up doing was having them come out from the side. Yeah, you can see where I have them coming out the side. So they're actually completely protected by that plastic insert, so they're not rubbing up against metal at all. And because that's a big circular insert, the hose can kind of go in and curve on its own and then come across. So now it comes across. This is a derail transcooler. It's the I don't remember the full part number, but it ends in the 6, so it's got the -6 fittings at the top, which I don't think really matter because you can swap these. These are just O-ring fittings here, and you can swap them out. I also got the derail mounting kit, like these mounting feet, and I'm glad I did. What I did over here was I just used 2 nut certs on there, so they just screw right in like a piece of cake with some block washers. Over here I made some very simple aluminum extension brackets, and I also I just welded 2 bolts to the core support. So it's really nice. When I go to put this on, I can just slip it on those studs and it kind of holds it in place while I go over here and put these bolts in and then put these nuts on, and then it's very, very, very sturdy. We're good to go on that, and this is all tightened and ready to go. I was able to use 90-degree fittings on this, so that helped. So that's my transcooler setup. In addition to the radiator, I ordered a Tejas, I still don't know if I'm saying that right, fan shroud, which is coming Tuesday. So that's a fan shroud, and I got the one to use the LT1 fans, which I have sitting over here. I was able to find these. These were hard to find, actually. I found these on the forums, on LS1 Tech forums. Haven't been on there in ages, and posted up. Somebody had them. I got them for a real good price. So they work great. You unbolt them from this shroud, bolt them on the aluminum shroud, and you have a really good, robust cooling system. You can see I have the driver's side headers installed fully, gasket, anti-seize on the bolts, everything. It's good to go. Most recently, the harness where I left you guys off on the last video, I had some harness, was kind of spread out. What I've done is I've wrapped it now. You can see this stuff is all, I'll explain that in a second, but it's all wrapped back up, nice and neat. The PCM is gonna, I have the PCM bracket right here. This just kind of goes over the side and snaps into the PCM bracket, and it's going to look fine. Main loom will come down. I might get an engine cover, so it'll cover that. It loops underneath the brake booster to right here. We have this bundle of wires, which is all of my pinks for running all the sensors. I have my fan, my high fan, low fan wire. I have my fuel pump control relay. I have a couple grounds, and I have my starter wire. That's all going to tie into, so I went with Harness Works for the bulkhead connector, which essentially replaces your bulkhead connector, dumbs everything down, gives you brand new wires over to your junction block, which I also replaced from LMC for like $7. It runs lines over to your alternator. It also runs lines over to your starter, down at your starter. So I started with that, and I wish I had gotten more from him. He also gives you all this wire as a hook. Obviously, this is battery hot, and this is switched, I believe, switched and cranking hot. So that's going to go right to this spot where he's also building me a relay center, which is going to have relays for everything. It's going to have 4 relays for the fans. That's the high speed, low speed operation plus the AC override that I'm going to use. It's going to have a fuel pump relay, and it might have a couple relays for my other sensors. He hasn't really told me for sure what he's thinking there, but I trust that he's going to come up with something pretty good for me. I still have some thinking to do on this. I might reconfigure this. Right now I have the factory E38 bracket, and it's bolted, again, using some nut certs down to the inner fender there. You can see the 2 bolts, and it's standing straight up. And then this is I was going to use an Astrovan relay center, and this is the bracket for that. Now, since I'm not using that, this is going to come out, and I'll have to fabricate something for the other relay box. So this might get reconfigured. I'm not real crazy about having this in this position. I originally wanted it to be in this position, but I can't get the bending that I want out of the harness, and it's too close to the steering shaft. So I'm thinking about actually doing it like this, mounting it like this instead, and then maybe having the relay box next to it. I'm going to fiddle with that some more, but essentially I should be able to just hook these pink and reds up to that relay box, plug in my fans, plug in, hook my various pink wires together up to his outputs, and I should be good to go. I should be able to fire this thing up. By the end of today, I hope to be able to crank it. I'm working on that. So that leaves me with the last thing that I've been working on here. I've been working on the battery cables. Now, I did order a GM battery cable from Amazon, and it's a very, very, very nice cable. It's very flexible. It's brand new. It bolted to the battery. The things I didn't like about it were the ends. Instead of being like this style of flat metal connector, it was like, they were like these. They were big holes, big metal, and I didn't like the way it fit. So I grabbed this battery cable yesterday, actually, out of the junkyard, out of like a Tahoe or something. Oh yeah, and this was black too, which I don't know, just annoyed me. So I got this out of the junkyard, and it's in really good shape. It's still pretty flexible. I was also able to get the bracket for the junction block, which I'll talk about in one second. But this battery cable is absolutely perfect. I mean, you have all this length. It goes down, it goes through this junction block. It goes down onto the engine alongside, and then plugs right into the starter. And it has the correct angled wire on it. Like, yes, shoot, it's gonna be hard to see, but hang on. I think that's worth showing with some light here. Yeah, so you can see the big foil lined this guy right here. That's the positive battery cable, and you can see how it comes in parallel with the starter, and then it has a 90-degree fitting on it. That's important because the other one it was just straight, so I would have had to bring the cable in at an angle or bend it, and it was really hard to bend. So that cable, I got the positive and the negative cable for $10. The new cable from Amazon was $60, and it's going to go back. So I'm using the factory square body ground because it can go right to the frame. My plan is I'm going to weld a stud to the frame, And then I'm going to use these nice battery ground straps from LMC to go from the block to that same ground. And then it also has this ground that will tie to the chassis right here like the original, but it did on the other side. Now this junction box here, I did order this new red box because the ones from the junkyard were a little, all the hinges were broken, and this one's pretty close to breaking. You can see it's splitting already. It was like 20 bucks, so I ordered a new one. The beautiful thing about this is I have a Astrovan power steering reservoir that I made a bracket for, and it uses the same holes that this bracket did, and I didn't realize it. So I got this bracket, brought it home, and it still bolted right up perfectly. It has a wire coming off of it, the correct wire for the back of the alternator, so that hooks up no problem. And the other cool thing is it also has a wire clip, which on the Harness Works harness, this loom right here has the temperature sensor plug in it, and it also has a red wire that goes to the back of the alternator. So I was able to clip that in here. This is all gonna pull up and be real nice and neat, and this will hold that securely because it is, like I said, it's down here with the temperature sensor. And I am running the 3-wire 98 Camaro temp sensor, and I bought a it's too late for me to pull it all out of there now, but I bought the female side to the 2-pin, so it basically looks like this. Here's the 2-pin temperature sensor. So I basically was able to buy this white part, not attached to all this. So I soldered some wires onto that and basically made an adapter. So all I had to do was plug my original harness into that adapter, and then the new wire goes into the new 3-wire sensor. So now my gauge is fed like it was originally, and I didn't have to mess with the original harness. Whew. Okay, that was a lot of talking. I'm showing 20 minutes I was able to talk. That's way longer than I like any video to go, but this is an update video. Oh, yes, I could keep going. I put new power steering lines on, so I got my new pressure line on, and I got my return line on. And then this guy off the positive cable, I'm actually going to buy a junction box to put right here on the fender, and I'm going to run my headlight harness directly off of that. I could run it out of that box maybe too, and I did have it running off of that, but I moved my headlight harness down here. My headlight relays down there because the battery, when I put the battery in, there wasn't enough room, so that's where they're at now. So that's that. I'm missing stuff. Like I said, it was a whirlwind of a week. I did a lot of work. A lot of it was very quick, very basic work, and a lot of it took me days. Like the mounting of the transcooler, I was being stupid about it. I was being so anal about it, and it just took me forever. So that's done though now. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So what's next? I'm going to mount the battery cables today. I'm going to slide under there, and I'm going to zip tie all my fuel lines. Essentially what I'm going to do is start at the back, and I'm going to zip tie all my lines to the existing lines or through the frame, anywhere I can get into the frame, so that the lines are all ready to go. I'm also going to secure all the trans lines, all the fuel lines coming up to the engine, and I'm also going to zip tie the positive battery cable from where it goes under the engine all the way to the side. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to weld that stud to the frame the best I can. I'm going to try to, I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll see once I get to it. Maybe I won't do it that way. Ideally, what I would love to have happen today is I would love to get both battery cables mounted and hooked up, and I would love to turn the key on and get power into the cab of the truck. I want the dash lighting up. I want the lights and everything to work so I can test things out. I need to be able to find which wire to tap into for the brake switch. I need to get where I'm getting my power and everything for the OBD2 plug. So I got to get all that, and I got to get it all sorted out. And I need power to the cab for that because I need to figure out what's got power, what doesn't, because I got to feed various things. So, I'm also going to I'm going to just twist the starter wire together for now and see if it's going to crank. I'm going to try to crank it. So I'll get that on video. I don't know how much of this other stuff I'll get on video, but I will get the cranking if I get it to crank on video, and I'll go over anything else that I find out. Maybe I'll split this up into 2 parts, I don't know. It's just now I'm going on 23 minutes. So we're getting there. You see the grill is laying there. I had the grill on, and I realized I got to show you guys the trans mount, so trans cooler mount. So that's that's where we're at. That's where I'm going. I really want to have this thing running next week, but it's supposed to be in the 30s and it's supposed to snow like 17 inches or something crazy. So I don't know. I also don't know when I'm getting my relay box. But I really want to try to fire this thing up soon. I want to fire it up. I want to back it the heck out of here, and I want to, get the Firebird back in. And I don't know if I'll get a chance to drive it much, but kind of feel like at that point I could just start driving it, right? I mean, it's ready to go. So, all right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Sorry this was so long. If you have any questions, let me know. Anything you want to see more of, let me know. There's a bunch of stuff I got to do. I'm going to try to get better about taking some more videos, so I'm not doing these long catch-ups. That was kind of stupid of me, but it is what it is. So, all right, thanks for watching. Catch you later.